welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is Monday, January 26th, 2026. Okay, so let's get off to it. I've got a lot of tweets for you, not as many as usual, but there's a lot of news to go through. So let's get right into it. So let's start first with a look at the chart. The WST ETH, my WST ETH SUSD position on carbon has done okay. It's buying the dip. I still got quite a bit of stablecoins below. I'm about halfway through my stablecoins, so that's pretty good. My Uniswap position is getting some fees. It looks like Sunday we had a nice little dump, or I guess I don't know if this is Sunday or Asian Monday or what have you, but quite a big dip for both ETH as well as BTC. The crypto general market had a nice big dip yesterday, so I don't know if you got powder and you might want to buy. It's still kind of low. It did recover and then kind of come back down again. So that's some good volume for the LPs like me. So that's good. So let's move on to some news. So the first one here is a retweet by ETH strategy of Justin Drake. Now, if you don't know who Justin Drake is, then you probably don't really dig deep into the weeds of Ethereum, but basically he's like one of the lead researchers for Ethereum, the Ethereum Foundation. So let's see what he says here. Now, of course, you can read through all this. It's not accessibly easy, but basically let's read what he says. Today marks an inflection in the Ethereum Foundation long-term quantum strategy. We formed a post-quantum team led by brilliant Thomas Koratiger. Joining him is Emily, I'm not sure if that's a guy or a girl, one of the world's world-class talents behind LeanVM. LeanVM is a cryptographic cornerstone of our entire post-quantum strategy. And you can he's basically just laying out that all the people that are going to be working on this post-quantum strategy, because so let's see if it does say here. After years of quiet R&D, Ethereum Foundation has officially declared PQ, post-quantum security, as a top strategic priority. Our journey began in 2019 with the Ethereum 3.0 quantum security presentation at Starkware sessions. Since 2024, PQ has been central to the lean Ethereum vision. The pace of PQ engineering breakthroughs since then have been nothing short of phenomenal. Now, I do think that's pretty interesting. I did see a tweet that I probably should have kept, considering it kind of relates to this. It was by CoinMarket, one of those coin desks or something, one of those ones that create articles, and it was talking about quantum computing's just out there, and BTC is going to be wrecked if quantum is successful, right? So I guess what this is a bunch of researchers who care about Ethereum and want it to be resilient versus quantum computing. That's a guess. You can read through all of this, these little ideas and these PQ things timeline, this roadmap for this PQ thing. I think it's interesting. It's way beyond my understanding, and I kind of have to trust in their ability to actually solve this problem. Okay, moving on. Has nothing to do with crypto, but I do think it's pretty interesting. So Dr. Berg is one of the people who I follow for health advice. I don't follow everything he says, but a lot of what he says is resonates with me and my thinking. So he says most people think sipping water all day is healthy, but the idea may not be. But that idea may need to be reconsidered. Or may need to be reconsidered. I'm sorry. Constant drinking can dilute electrolytes, affect digestion, and stop your body from responding to real thirst. And then he's got a guide on how to actually drink. The way I drink, I don't drink a lot of water. If I drink water, it's lemon water. I squeeze lemons into water and put it in the fridge. So maybe a liter of water with one lemon. And that's what I drink. I'll drink that right after I eat, or if I'm late at night and I want, I'm craving some snack or some munchie, I'll drink that instead. And I think it's quite healthy for me. I don't think you need like as much water as they used to say. I drink a lot of milk, dairy, and stuff like this. So I think I'm not dehydrated. That's for sure. Like I don't have dehydration headaches. My skin is smooth and stuff like this. So yeah, you can consider that. Like try not to like get sucked into these fads of like, carrying around like 2 liters of water and pounding it all day long, right? So I don't know. So you can check that out. Let's get back to crypto. So here we have Stacy Murr. I started following her last week, and some of the things she's been pumping out is interesting to me. Okay, so here she's kind of shilling a product from KyberSwap. So what does it say? Pro tip for anyone that's LPing ETH or BTC pairs, you're not leaving yield on the table. So check out Kyber Network. They have these fair flow pools. So for your information, Fairflow is built by Uniswap Vision 4 hooks, and it's the #1 hook on Uniswap, processing about 2.5 billion volume. I've never heard of this, okay, so this is new to me. Here's how. So Fairflow captures arbitrage values that normally go to MEV bots and returns those to the LPs as equilibrium gain, okay? When the trade routes through fair pools, the hook absorbs the arbitrage profit and redistributes 70% back to the LPs weekly in both tokens of the pair. No staking required. You can use LPs elsewhere for additional yield and so forth. So yeah, so you would deposit through this thing. You would get your LP token, and you could use them if there is some sort of like Uniswap staking contract somewhere, or maybe to borrow or something like that. And then you would get all this arbitrage MEV boost basically on your LPs. So you can check that out. I think it's pretty good. There's quite a few pairs, and it's on Ethereum, Arbitrum, BNB chain, according to her tweet. Again, dig into that. Maybe I will look at it a little bit deeper and check it out. I'm a little bit worried about these these V4 hooks, but I'll have to check how old is this thing, how long has it been running. And then as always, diversify. Don't put all of your assets into a single newish product, okay? Moving on, here we have DeFi Made here. He's reminding everybody, like, as gold has been pumping pretty well. Let's check out the chart, actually. So I do have one here, I believe. No, I don't. So let's just go with XAU. Yeah, so it's just going crazy. So this is just, I don't know which one this one, but just some private gold chart, and it's just, pumping. Now that says 400, so I must have chose the wrong one. Let's try a different one. XAU. Let's use XAUT, because that's, yeah, so yeah, it's just pumping. Oh, this is the market cap. So yeah, things are just pumping. Like gold and silver are just pumping like crazy. I've got some gold as well, but this was something I was in before, and it's definitely something to consider. Okay, now why I want to talk about this. So he says, good time to remind you that you can borrow against gold on Fluid and earn yield at the same time. So if you can see this, basically he's got you've got gold and gold. So this is Paxos Gold and Tether Gold tokens, tokenized golds, and you can put both of them or one of them into here, and that's your collateral. And your collateral will trade. So people can trade through your collateral. So you're basically making the statement that I don't care which one I have. If I have all of one of these two, I'm okay with that. But generally speaking, because it's a trading pool, it will not stay 50-50, but it wants to stay 50-50. So it incentivizes the staying of like 50-50-ish. Now Paxos Gold and Tether Gold do not trade at the same price, because there's redemption fees and stuff like that. So you have to look a little bit deeper. However, if you're okay with these two tokens, then you can deposit them here, earn some trading fees. So right now it says supply rate is 2.2%. So you're going to earn, but that's based on trading fees, right? So you're earning these 2.2% on your collateral while it trades and swaps through like those two cold. And then you can borrow USDT or USDC versus that collateral. and then take that USDC outside and do other things. So this is an excellent way to live like the rich, where Elon Musk, he doesn't have to pay as much taxes as you would think he does, because he uses his he doesn't sell his Tesla stock. He borrows versus it and uses that to live off it. So if you do have a substantial amount of gold tokens, you can just borrow against them while the price is super high, and then you just have to manage your leverage, right? So that you don't get liquidated, or you have to repay some of your debt if the value of gold starts going back down. I'm more happy with like the trading fees, so I would even consider putting my gold tokens in here just to earn that 2.2% and not even borrowing versus it. But when you need a little bit of money for something, or you want to do a little bit of leverage, or do something like supply that USDT immediately to lending on Fluid, then you can make a little extra. But you have to arbitrage your borrow rate, because the borrow rate on USDC, based on this picture right now, is 4.5%. So can you beat 4.5%? Is the question. Like, can you take USDT and beat 4.5% somewhere else? So that's something you'd have to consider and look at. So yeah, you can check that out. I think it's a pretty good strategy, and it is definitely probably better than selling, unless you want to pay a giant amount of money in taxes. Moving on, here we have Millie, Llama on the Brink. So this guy Tarek Masour, I don't know who this is, but he took a New York Times header, and he's talking about, it says betting on prediction markets is their job. They make millions. So the New York Times has this article, and then they retweeted it. And then Millie's like, when you go to the New York Times, it actually says like, welcome to the era of the poly market sharp. So there's a subtitle, a subheading. And Millie's like, erasing the poly market related subheading to engagement farm, the original headline, is exactly the type of thing you'd expect from Kalshi. So yeah, like I feel like there's a lot of this kind of stuff, like people just like stealing other people's ideas, not giving due credit. Let me check. Like, he probably doesn't even tag. Oh, he did tag New York Times, but he doesn't link you to. There's no link to the New York Times article, and there's this picture of this guy. I don't know who this guy is, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot of that kind of stuff. Like, they literally like erased part of the heading because it says Polymarket, and they're a competitor to Polymarket. So they're like, this is the good news, but we'll just keep the truth of all the good news to ourselves, right? And this happens so much in modern day now. And like, maybe it always happened and you just didn't see it. But like, we've come, I don't know, I feel like we've come so low where people just like steal other people's stuff so easily and don't give proper due credit and reference things correctly. It's too sad. Okay, moving on. Here we have a long article by Blockmates, 15 early mega ETH opportunities, and he goes through and lists them. So there's a bunch. So I'm not going to go through them all, but you can go through and you can kind of look at if any of these things kind of, blow your whistle or make you feel interested. It is pretty close. The mega ETH mainnet is pretty close, so it's worth checking because there might be a lot of hype. There might be good yields here. I will pay attention for myself and so forth. So yeah, you can check out mega ETH and check out Blockmate's little 12 early opportunities and see if there's anything there you want to play with. And remember, like, playing with testnet is free. You might get an airdrop for playing with testnet. You might not. At least you're helping out a little bit because they do need testnet stuff. They do need these. Moving on. Here we have Yearn. Yearn has tweeted out this YETH. So a little while ago, YETH was this. It was this unique. I'm not going to call it a strategy. It was like a vault of many different LSTs, and it was this uniquely designed product by Yearn, and it got exploited a little while ago. So it was basically a bunch of ETH inside a bunch of different LRTs, like an index, basically. It got exploited a little while ago, and so here it says, why ETH holders? A snapshot has been posted that includes the amount of each depositor held in ETH at the time of the incident. Go and check the JSON file, and if you don't have it, there's like a system of like reporting that your wallet is not in that list. And you can go to the list. It's like a GitHub repository. You don't need to connect your wallet. You just can search for the wallet, and if you see it's missing, then you can add your wallet to the report it, and it's due today. So if you are hearing this, then I suggest you get in there and check it, especially if you have some ETH that is missing because of that exploit. It doesn't say clearly what kind of recuperation, like what kind of percentage they plan to recuperate, but it does, like based on the fact that they're doing a snapshot, I would say that you're likely to get some of it back, if not all of it, which is fantastic. Moving on, Tim Copeland. I started following him a couple weeks ago, and I like some of his tweets. So here he says, coin market cap. Like he's got the, in case you can't see it, he's got the pitch from like Leonardo DiCaprio with his three his okay hands, and like the whiteboard beside him, that meme. So it's coin market cap, but call it dead market cap, listing only tokens that have no liquidity or volumes. Now that's a lot, okay? Like if you just pump fund alone would fill that thing with massive amounts of like pointless, worthless, nothing tokens, right? But I do think it's kind of it's kind of a good idea in some ways. Like obviously I'm not going to like visit this thing all the time, but it's kind of nice to know that like have a repository of like all stuff that's just like garbage. And then if you're going to trade something or swap something and you've selected one of those, then you should be like, yeah, this is my like, then it should tell you, this thing's listed on dead market cap. So are you sure you want to buy this thing? That'd be nice. And then there's another person down here who's got a clever idea. And it says, need a tax loss harvest button next to each listing for people who made the mistake of holding them. So yeah, like some countries in the world, they allow you to write off your your losses in crypto as well as your gains. So offset your gains with your losses, and it's one of the things that like is pretty hard if you're like a trencher. Like you gotta like show that you've like lost tons of money buying shit coins that are worthless. Like I don't really believe that the government, in my opinion, I don't think the government should honor these. Like if you are gambling on shit coins, like pump fund coins, and you're losing that money, then that's just loss. But if you're winning that money, I also don't think the government should have their hands on it. Like to me, the only thing the government should be able to tax is, in my opinion, is money that they've protected and money that's going into their shitcoin, their fiat. So if you want to buy a house, you want to buy a car, you want to buy something, you want to like pay at Costco or something like this, then you have to buy their shitcoin. You have to use their fiat. Like I would be okay with a country saying the only payment ability in this country is to use the fiat. If you go to any brick and mortar in our country, then you have to use fiat to pay. Now, I'm not saying you have to literally hold it. There would be services, where they would convert your crypto to fiat, and the fiat would then pay the retailer. And during that conversion process, the government would take their taxation of those assets, right? So, the price would be a little bit more expensive because you'd have to pay those service fees or taxation. That's the way I think. But, I kind of digressed a little bit on Tim Copeland's idea, but I do think it's worth consideration and so forth. So let's move on. So DeFi Doctor, or sorry, Doctor DeFi here, he's talking about, he's got a conversation here with DeFi Maximalist. It's not a long conversation, but there's some ideas in here that I think are warrant. So it says, all the L1s except BTC, ETH, and Sol are down badly and in a clear downtrend with down draws exceeding 90%. So yeah, like every L1, like in his case, he's probably talking about Sonic, but you'll also see the same thing on AVAX. Pretty much all the L1s. They're just wrecked, right? And the revival will be selective. It won't be those promising things in the future, but those that have already have the best infrastructure in place. Sure, you can see short-term pumps based on the news and partnership announcements, but the real use case usually goes to the chain that is the most efficient, has the best uptime, the lowest fees, and the runway to keep building, the ability to scale now. We all know which chain that is. So yeah, he is talking about Sonic. And the only disappointment is the price action, which isn't unique. It's happening across the industry. So DeFi Maximalist says, I'm sorry, but tech alone isn't enough. There are many L1s to choose from. And I agree with him. Like, tech definitely is not enough. Like, you need business development as well as tech. If you don't have the, like, that pair, then you're screwed. And then maybe even community, like, I wouldn't say community like GM, but like community as in people who believe in it that have capital. So a large amount of capital. So we can call it TVL, but you know the metric sometimes is pointless or it's used in an incorrect way. But in this case, where an L1 is concerned, actual people bringing capital into the chain is what I'm talking about, not the TVL in the sense of like all of the shit coins accumulated value and the gas token as well and all of that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people actually bringing capital into these ecosystems to farm. And then, so let's continue. It says, in the long run, technology alone is sufficient. So this is what Dr. DeFi says. As long as you stay ahead of your peers in the tech stack, the only thing that matters is who will be able to survive the run. So it's kind of like a L1 bear market right now. Everyone's like hates L1s. They're all down. And so it's basically who has the endurance to keep going. And then when hopefully there's a switch in mentality or a sentiment, then these L1s might recover. That's kind of what he's getting at. And yeah, I agree. Like even like if you look at even Hype, right? Hype is down from like $60 to $20 or something. And I haven't checked my LPs in a few days, so I should probably, they're probably sitting out of range, which sucks. But anyways, moving on. So here we have Mats from Grow the Pie. If you don't know what Grow the Pie is, it's good stuff. It's a website for basically looking at all the different like L2s. It's good stuff. So you can check out Grow the Pie. But here he's tweeting about something. Okay, so I should have shared this a while ago with that Blockmates thing. So because I saw some confusion about Mega ETH pushing 20k TPS. This is not organic activity. It's the team testing the supply side of the chain. Real demand is still relatively low, besides a couple of people testing games and swaps, etc. So yeah, like, and this was retweeted by Bread, who is like the main shill, or I don't know what his position is called, but he's the person who's sharing Mega ETH with everybody on crypto Twitter. So he retweeted that, and that's where I got this thing from. So yeah, like, of course, like, it's a test net right now. Like, they have the ability, because it's a test net, they have the ability to spam it with like bots and just try to break it and send it into like some sort of, you know, uncomfortable state. And you see this happen here with Mega ETH. I've seen it happening with like Rise, where these fast, you know, L2s that are designed to be super high throughput, and that's what they have to do, right? So of course it's not organic. People don't want to use their time to test nets too much. Most test nets are being done by bots or, you know, independent anonymous bots trying to get airdrops, or quote unquote community people who are trying to get airdrops. So you don't see like there's not. I highly doubt there's a lot of like Ethereum OG whales that are like, hey, I want to like test Mega ETH and spend a couple hours every day playing with all those apps. I don't think there's a lot of that going on, but there may be people in like my situation where I'm not an OG crypto whale, but I might be able to. I might decide I want to test some of these things out once in a while. And if I get an airdrop, fantastic. And if not, it's just like I've given back to the ecosystem a little bit, and I'm helping to raise the tide of the entire system. But I will hedge my timing. I won't use all of my free time to do this. But anyways, so yeah, you can check out that tweet and kind of watch, and it's like just a little video of TPS is around 24K, which is pretty amazing. Moving on, here we have Daddy Fisticants, yeah, geez, whatever. He's like retweeting something funny. So he's like, you may not believe this, but back in the days, we had stuff like this happening in crypto too. And then there's a tweet by the Kobelesi letter, whatever that is. And it says, NVIDIA announces a $2 billion investment in CoreWeave. And then CoreWeave stock prints this giant like green candle. Now it's not a huge, like it looks much, it's basically very little trading volume and then a lot of trading volume. And it went from $93 to $105 and then back down to $102. So a big trading day, okay, for this thing, because NVIDIA's like, yeah, we're going to buy this thing or we're going to invest in this thing. And then just the market just apes things, right? So, there's still opportunities in the traditional stocks and stuff like that for this kind of stuff. I don't like using traditional stocks because it's so slow, right? Like it's not instantaneous. You don't trade instantly unless you're using a derivative, right? And then also, there's still all that crap about like insiders and institutional trading times, like where they get to trade early. So this is probably a candle of institution, and then that top wick is all like retail, and then the dump is institution taking profits on retail. That's probably what happened, right? So that's why I don't like to trade stocks in traditional finance. But yeah, we used to see things like this all the time, and I'm sure there still is lots of like low float meme coins that are doing this every day, but you don't see a lot of it with like tech, like actual proper tech anymore. Moving on, this is a fantastic article. It's really long, but it's well thought out. It's an article by Rectomedes, and he's basically talks about his own life and then talking about the way work is going to be changing in the next little while. And I plan to read this with my son to make him kind of listen to it, because I think there's a lot of insight in here, and how the world is going to change from, you just get a job at the coal plant or, at the GM factory in Detroit or whatever it is. It's not really going to work like that anymore. There's one thing in here that he says that kind of stuck out to me, is that like most entry-level jobs are going to be replaced by AI. So you have to kind of educate yourself so that you're past entry-level positions, and then find a niche. And sometimes it's really hard for people to be like, what do I want to be when I grow up? Ooh, I don't know. Like my son has no idea what he wants to be. I still don't really know what I really want to do with my time. Like I'm enjoying crypto, and that's the way I'm kind of sitting. But it's a good read. Like if you've got some time, it's a long read, and I salute him for putting in so much effort, and I like it. And I'm going to share it and retweet this as well. But yeah, you can read through this, and it's good stuff. It really is. So I don't want to give it away too much, but I would highly suggest you to read it. Okay. Moving on, we have a tweet by Liquidity, one of my most favorite protocols. And I'll tell you, like they've are one of the people who have sponsored this channel, but I will disclose sponsors in February, okay, because that's what the sponsor's for. However, they they just got ranked by bluechip.org. Now, Bluechip is it's kind of like a independent stablecoin rating agency. So they have their own. They basically look at all these different factors of stablecoins and they give ratings. So Bold, because it's immutable and it's only backed by ETH and LSTs, it got a rating of A-. Okay, so it's not perfect, 100% perfect, but it is super good. Okay, now to give you some clarity, like what's it called? PayPal's got an A- as well. USDC got a B+. DAI, I assume that would also be SUSD, got a B+. So it's top tier, right? According to these guys. And why? Like it's got stability, it's management, decentralized governance, everything is kind of in there. You can read through the ratings and find out exactly why this is such a good rating. But like to me, it all comes down to two things. Like it's completely immutable, so they can't make any adjustments, they can't change things. It has like endangerous, I can never say the word, I can't remember how to say the word. It's got yields baked into it. They don't need to take the Bold and they generate yield farming in order to give you yield. They don't need to take the assets that are put into as collateral, take those assets onto Binance and high frequency trade them. There's none of this going on. It's all contained on chain immutably and has its own yield. So you can deposit Bold into the stability pools and you can have your interest rate that way. So I have a video if you want to understand deeply how it works, or you can check the docs, read the docs. But I would suggest you kind of dig through this tweet. Is a long one, and there's a lot of opportunity in here, and you can farm with Bold all over the place, and there's all of these like forkonomic airdrops coming. Like there's already one last week, and it's ongoing. So if you just mint Bold or buy it with USDC, and you put it into any of the yield farming situations, then you can get an airdrop and get good APR. Like it's a win-win, and you'll be getting more and more airdrops as these other forks start to develop and do their token generation events. Okay, so check it out. I definitely think it's worth. I got one more tweet for you, and this is a cool thing. Okay, this is Lido version 3 and Opal multi-operator distributed validators on Lido staked ST Vaults. Now, this article that they wrote here is not completely easy to understand, but the way I'm going to try to TLDR this is, I'll try to the way I understand this, okay? So it's a vault. You can put your ST ETH in the vault and get some yield on it, and it'll be put to work there's where was this? Like, let me check for it. Looping. So yeah, there's no leverage, no looping, and no complex DeFi strategies. So the yield is not fantastically blow your mind, but it's super safe. And you, by depositing into this, then you are also supporting the client diversity protocols. So there are these different protocols like Nevermind, Develop, Sigma Prime, ChainSafe, where they build the clients they work on client diversity for Ethereum. So we want client diversity so that if one client gets a bug, the other clients can keep the chain online. I believe Ethereum is the only one with client diversity. So if we want to support these teams, you can deposit into these vaults, and I'm sure they must get some. It doesn't say here, but I'm sure they must be getting a performance fee. Like they must be taking a small cut of the yield. So it will help to support those clients. And they're using, what is this? I can't remember what it was. Distributed validators to run these vaults. So you have these different. What is distributed validation? It's how to explain this. It's basically it's like a system where you know, the responsibilities of validation, Ethereum validation is like split across independent node operators. So different nodes do, instead of at one node doing the entire process of making a block, then it's kind of and validating that blocks and stuff like that. Then it's split across many different like validators. Now I'm not exactly sure how this ties into these vaults. Now what I would probably, I'm assuming, is that this distributed validator technology is the one who are doing the harvesting as well as the approving of strategies and stuff like that. I'm guessing. I'm not exactly sure. So anyways, you can check out this article and consider this. It's a kind of a safer, lower yield strategy vault. And you are then, if you do deposit in this, you are helping to support Nevermind, develop Chain Safe, Sigma Prime, and as a result, helping to support client diversity on Ethereum. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope this has been interesting and useful, and thank you for listening, and goodbye.